Well, welcome back to the Ashes Debrief. Would you, Adam and Eve, would you believe it? It's been 14 years, 11 months, 20 days, and England have finally won a test match here in Australia. Does anyone know how many days it actually has been?
Nearly 5,500.
5,500.
You walk to the moon. Yeah, similar.
I'm not sure who has
frame.
actually walked to the moon in that time, but apparently you can.
Well, England have beaten Australia by 4 wickets. We've got to talk about it. It's only day 2. There was still potentially an hour left of play. It's been a bit of a ridiculous test match, Vaughan.
Well, I'm not going to call it a test match because at times it was a lottery, but it's an England win, and this England side desperately needed a victory. They needed a victory for many reasons. Obviously, they've not quite had that kind of ruthless edge at the right moments in this series, up until here where they did. Every time Australia looked like they were getting on top, England found something, whether it was a brilliant run out of Cameron Green, a brilliant spell, a brilliant delivery from Bryden Carter to get rid of Travis Head today. They just always managed to win that key moment. Even though it's only been a short time, there was a few little key moments. England won them in this test match. So delighted for the team, delighted for the fans to see. And I'll try to count how many were in today, but I think there's around 40,128. And they were all up on the feet singing "We Are the Army," the Barmy Army. Great atmosphere. They deserve that. They'd have liked to have seen probably a win on day 4, so they get a couple more days cricket. But the team needed the win for this management group to have any hope going forward. England have to win the last 2 games. They've won here. Go and do the same again in Sydney.
Glenn, how do you sum it up?
Yeah, no, important win, as Vaughan said, for England. You know, the pitch out there, too much grass for the ball to be moving around. Whether it's a combination of pitch doing too much and batsmen not really wanting or knowing how to play in these conditions, I think the batsmen were found wanting a little bit. Bowlers probably enjoyed bowling out there, but 2-day test again is far too short in such a massive series. It's interesting. England won the toss and decided to bowl first. That first test in Perth, I was gobsmacked that they didn't bowl first in those conditions with the team they selected, and who knows, maybe things would be different as well. So hindsight's a good thing, but you still have to go out there and do the business, and England did it better than Australia in this test, and that's why they won.
England hung in with the ball today. Gus Atkinson went down pretty early on in the day, which could have derailed England. When you turned up this morning, Vaughan, did you believe England were able to get over the line?
I actually said last night that this was England's best opportunity because they're a good chasing team, and they're only 46 in deficit going into day 2. The pitch was always going to do a little bit like it did yesterday. This Australian batting lineup, it's okay. Steve Smith's a genius at number 4, but you look at the rest. I mean, Alex Carey's been in good form, but you always think, oh, he's due a failure, and he has done here. You look at Weatherall, you look at Cameron Green, Usman Khawaja, Marnus Labuschagne. There's 4 players there in the top 7 that aren't in great form. I mean, Usman's come back in, he played well last week, but he plays well consistently on those slower decks that don't offer a huge amount of seam movement. On a deck like this, it's a lottery for all the players, so it doesn't surprise me that many of the players struggle. But England found a way, and I agree with Glenn that if you go back to Perth and Brisbane, I think if Ben Stokes had his time again, he would have bowled on both, even in the pink ball game. I just think they look a more comfortable side when they're chasing. The Adelaide Oval chase, they didn't win, but when they're batting second, you can see that they play a better game. And the Bazball method, it did die. Over a period of time against the better side, it does not work. But that approach, the aggressive approach, was required today. To chase down 175 when the pitch is doing plenty, I loved England's approach today. So I don't want them to put the aggressive game into the bin forever, because at times today it's required, and in the future there'll be periods and times where it's needed once again. The skill for this side now is maturity and making sure that they understand when it's required to be like it was today, when it is required like at the Adelaide Oval, just play more traditionally, more conventionally, and when they get the opportunity to bat first, can they get a number on the board without panicking? That's the real big challenge for this side, and that's down to a bit of maturity, a lot of chatting, a bit of ownership from the players. They owned it here. Yep. Well, I think in a funny kind of way, chasing this number on this kind of pitch, it was Christmas, because it was a free hand today to just go and play exactly the game that they really enjoy playing. They can't play that way all the time, but it certainly worked today.
And Glenn, as a bowler, what does that do for you when batters are being aggressive and you know you've got a low total to defend, and they are coming out their crease, the keeper's up, the keeper's then back? What does it do to your mentality?
Well, you've got to hang in there. You've got to keep bowling good balls in the areas you want to bowl, and they have to then play shots to good deliveries more and more often. If you change your length soon as what a batsman runs at you, then you've lost the game, haven't you? So in situations like that, you need what I call a backup ball. Okay, he likes coming at me, he likes giving room, whatever you think he's going to, you think about that at the top of your mark. Okay, if he does that, this is the ball I'm going to bowl. So it's already in your mind, so if you see it at the last second, you can adapt quicker than if you hadn't thought about it. So keep bowling to your plans, make them play good balls more often, but have a backup ball if something happens, and that's all you can do, and just back yourself.
Somebody who did bowl very well was Josh Tong with his 7-for. Should he have played earlier in this Test series, Vaughan? I know it's ifs and buts, but he pitched the ball up and looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, people will say, oh, it's hindsight, but there were many saying it before Perth. You look back to the Test series against India, he got 18 wickets in 3 games as a wicket taker. You go back to 2023 where he played 1 Test against Australia. At Lords, he got 5 wickets on that occasion. He's bowled brilliantly. He's got 12 wickets at 18 apiece in the 2 games that he has played. And, you know, you look at those first, particularly Perth, you know, England's batters really lost them that Test match because they played the Bazball method when it wasn't required, when they're dominating the game on day 2. Would Josh Tong have made a difference in that 200 challenge that Australia had? Probably not in the second innings, but he's a bowler that gets wickets, and I see him bowling to right-handers, and I always look at it as a right-handed batter myself and think, I wouldn't want to face him. That angle in, and he holds the seam up and he gets it to go, when he kind of turns all the right-handers around because of that angle that he creates, that kind of action that he has. So he's got an awkward action, he bowls quick enough, and he's bowled a really good length. The key for England this week has been the lengths that they bowled. Every time, there's only 4 or 5 overs here or there where they didn't quite get it right, and that was with the new ball where they went a little bit short, a bit wide. But every time they got it full of length, challenging that top of off stump. We've been saying it all series. They've not been patient enough or skilled enough or disciplined enough to deliver that skill on a continuous basis. And it's always a bit easier when there's a bit more in the pitch. And this week, particularly when Gus Saxon went off, you need a bit of spirit. And the one thing I'll say about the England side, the 3-1 down in an Ashes series, but I've never looked down and thought they haven't got spirit. Yeah. They are fighting, and they've fought throughout the whole series. They've been beaten by a better team. That's why they're 3-1 down. But they've got that spirit and they've got that togetherness, behind Ben Stokes. I've said it for a while that they've just got to get a little bit more mature. That's all it is. If they can stay together, understand where they've made mistakes, accept them, accept the criticism. Don't just think that everyone's talking nonsense and we know best. That's what we're about. How dare you criticise us from outside the England camp? Take that as a mature comment, take it on the chest, accept it, and that's when the team can move forward.
Well, Brendan McCullum, the head coach, came out after the last Test and he sort of said, well, maybe we weren't prepared enough. Does that not make you really frustrated in the fact that everybody was saying it before the Ashes started, and it's taken for you to be 3-0 down before you go, there might be some truth in that?
Well, you need to be hardened to play here. In Australia it says, you go to India, it's hard. You come to Australia, it's tough, and the only way that you can get good at playing here in Australia is by playing in Australia. And when you bring a team like England brought with all the talent but not a lot of experience, I said it last week, the one thing that's very important for England now for the 4-year cycle, and it is always a 4-year cycle, we'll get an Ashes in 27, then they come back here in 29, 30 or around that time. A lot of these players will still be playing for England, and Jacob Bethel, he's had an experience of playing at the G and he's got a victory. Josh Tong has won a Test match at the G, all these players now, but players that have kind of just come back into this England side, Gus Atkinson, Zak Crawley's playing lovely, but Zak Crawley needs someone to knock on his door and say, right, Zak, we've had you for 60 odd tests now and you've played some stunning innings, but you've played some poor innings and you've made a lot of mistakes. Tell you what we're going to do with you, Zak, every night. I'm going to get you the Adelaide second innings and we're just going to sit down like this.
Just watch
and
it.
We're just going to watch it. And we're just going to say to you, Zak, come on, Zak, that's you. And I'm going to challenge Zak Crawley. I think he can average 45 from here on in the next 2 years of Test match cricket, leading into the Ashes in 27. By the back end of 27, at the end of that Ashes series, I want someone to sit down with him and say, there's your DVD, we're going to watch it every night, but we're going to challenge you, Zak, to average 45 in this next 2 years of Test match cricket. He's good enough to do so. We've seen it here.
We've seen some remarkable things throughout this Test match. Bryden Carr's pitching the ball up was one of them, but him coming out to bat at number 3 shocked and stunned everybody in the ground. Nobody knew who was walking out. What did you make of that, Glenn?
No, I thought it was the right thing to do. They've started well, you're chasing a small target, why not throw in a pinch hitter? If he comes off, gets 20, 30 runs, quick fire, that total just comes down very quickly. So I wasn't against it. I thought it was a good idea. good sort of tactics there, and unfortunately it didn't come off, but I like the thought process.
Well, let's be honest, it's been 2 days of Test cricket that we've never seen, really. We've had
Don't think we ever will.
Well, we've had Scott Boland open the batting for Australia.
Yep.
We've had Bryden Carse bat number 3 for England. We've had more fur on a pitch than I've seen in my back garden, and there's plenty of fur in my garden.
You have got a good robot cutting your garden.
I have. That's what this needs. It needs a bloody.
Is it
It
cut
needs
at
a
10 mil?
robot.
Or you cut it shorter
Just
than 10
needs a
mil?
little rain in the robot to give it a bit of a trim. I used to have one of them squirrels on my head back in the day. That's exactly what this pitch was. It was one of my old squirrels that had just been laid for 22 yards.
Well, Ben Stokes came out and said it's not the best advertisement for Test match cricket. And Danny Lester's been in touch. Don't forget, scan your QR code that's going to be on your screen now. And he said, what makes this pitch? Why was it so bad? Was it just purely the grass? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think leading into it, the weather hasn't been great. So you haven't had those hot days to get the pitch exactly how he wanted it.
It's been freezing, by the way.
And then day 3, 4 and 5, it was earmarked to be like 32, 33 degrees plus. So the weather was going to get quite hot, and I guess wanted it to last. You've got to get to day 3 to make the wicket last day 4 and 5. So yeah, I think a little bit too much grass, and the grass on it just grabs the ball and just, it's just one of those things. 7 mil last year was perfect. The Test went to last session on day 5, which was brilliant. Shame he didn't just cut a little bit more off and hope that that would be enough.
Is the curator fully responsible for that, Vaughan?
Well, I think so. I mean, he created the pitch. Whether it was the Australian camp that came here 2 or 3 days ago, and they looked at the pitch and went, "Let's leave it." I don't know. I mean,
I can't see the batsman. Steve Smith's not going to come out.
I'm just staggered that if it's just one individual that can produce a pitch. In a world of cricket where Test cricket is the one format that we have to protect. And this has been such a bad advertisement for the great game. And we've got 40,000 Brits that have flown over to watch 4 days of Test match cricket. We're never expecting 5 in this modern game, but 4 days and the amount of money that's going to be lost.
Well, that was my next question. The financial implications of two-day Test matches in an Ashes series is massive for Cricket Australia.
I think it's selling everyone short. It's selling the players short. Fundamentally they had to play on it, and it wasn't a great surface to play the game that they wanted to play. Selling the broadcasters short, hugely, and you're also selling the fans short, and that's really important. And I'm pretty sure from here on in, if it was that the creator groundsman had that kind of freedom to produce whatever he wants, I would think in the future that is never going to happen, because the game needs cash, the game needs money, and a lot of these boards are struggling for cash. And when you think that this place would have been full on days 3 and 4, and now it's just going to be like this, nobody in, and the amount of money that the broadcasts have to give back to the advertisers, that is too much. It's going to kill Test cricket if we have more like this.
So is there...
I was going to say, you don't need Test cricket. We need to protect it. Last year, India, 5 days, 370,000 people, and that's brilliant for the game of Test cricket. About 190,000 for 2 days here. What could that number have been, and what could it have done for Test cricket? So it is disappointing.
So just finally, is there then a fear that boards are going to say we need flatter surfaces, so that Test match cricket then doesn't have that battle between bat and ball? They're just going to play on flat surfaces, or is there always going to be a bit in a surface no matter where you are in the world?
Well, I'll just go to the Adelaide Test match. It was a perfect test. It was a pitch that was nice for batting. If you're a quality bowler, you got something out of it, and then over time spin came into the game. The one thing that we have to protect is what Test cricket is, and what does it mean? It means a test for all your skill sets and your mentality, your disciplines, and we need spin in the game. There's not been 1 over a spin. There was 2 overs of spin in Perth, not 1 over a spin here.
Sure.
We need to protect. You were a spinner, Al.
I know.
bowled some filthy.
Protect us.
We've got to protect the filthy little finger spinners. That's what it's all about.
Mine weren't filth, they just didn't spin.
Well, all right, non-spinning left-arm spinner. We need to protect that skill set in the game. If we don't, we'll have more weeks like this. And look, I've been entertained, but give me an Adelaide week over this any day of the week.
Well, Michael Vaughan, Glenn McGrath, thank you very much. England have finally won a Test match here in Australia. Jacob Bethel was 8 years old last time it happened in 2011. We'll catch you next time. Don't forget the highlights are on iPlayer at 5 p.m. and the Ashes debrief will be back on day 1 at the Sydney Test.
Ta-ra.